Yo, yo, YouTube. We're back. Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi Fight Night card. This is a good one. A lot of really good fights on this card. But let's give a little notice to last week. Went 10 out of 13 on the fights. It's about a 77% win rate. That was really good to see. But I've been doing really good in the UFC on picking the fights. Not saying the odds are the best on all of them, but just picking the winners. That's what means everything. And I think we got another good night coming here this Saturday. Starting with Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi. And in this fight, I'm going with Amir Albazi here to get the job done. We'll start with him. He came over with a split decision win over Caio France in his last fight. Some people say it was controversial, but it was a good win. 5 rounds. He got a 5-round fight under his belt now. Went the whole 25. Didn't look gassed. Before that, fought Alexandr Costa. Really good fighter. Before that was Francisco Figueiredo, but he did what he had to do with him. Got him out of there in a round. He's really been showing up against... He hasn't fought the highest competition of all, but he's putting away the guys that he should. And the 5-round fight with Caio France was really impressive. His grappling's well. He's really strong. And for Brandon Moreno, he's on a little skid here. 2 split decisions, losses. He talked about retirement just in February. It seems a little soon to be back. I guess he wants to get that off his chest, or you never know if the UFC offered him a ton of money just to take another fight. But I don't like that. Once you say the word retirement, you're usually 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of deal. Don't like that in this sport. This sport, you have to be all in or all out. I don't like this for Brandon Moreno. I think this kid's still so hungry. Brandon Moreno's not, obviously, if he talks about retiring. Super young, but he's been through so many wars, and the split decisions are probably just killing him mentally. He's been talking about the mental stuff. I like Amir Albazi here big. I think he's going to grapple him majority of the fight. Brandon Moreno is really good takedown defense, but he has been taken down in fights. He's going to be the faster guy on the feet. He's going to have better striking. But Amir Albazi, I think, is too strong and still in his prime, on the rise. On to the next fight. We got Rose Namajunas and Erin Blanchfield. And in this one, I'm taking Erin Blanchfield here with average confidence, actually, to get the job done. She's about a minus 130 favorite. And for some reason, this is a 5-round fight in a co-main event that isn't on pay-per-view, and there's no title on the line. I don't know why it's a 5-round fight. That does kind of favor Rose, I think. But Erin Blanchfield is really impressive. She's a grappling ace. She's got that super elite grappling that we talk about. You know it when you see it. It's one of a kind. And she's coming off a recent loss to Manon Fiorot. But both these fighters lost to Manon Fiorot. And you can't just take one fight away from Erin Blanchfield and say she's not a good fighter. She didn't have a great performance in that fight against Fiorot. She really couldn't get the takedown, and Fiorot is so tall. But before that, she was doing what she did with everybody. I mean, she was submitting people in the first round, left and right, including Jessica Andrade, which everyone's still super high on. In this fight, I think Erin Blanchfield is going to use her cardio as a weapon, and the takedown pressure for Rose, she's going to be the slicker striker. She's going to be bouncing around. She's not super high volume, though. I don't like that. Erin Blanchfield doesn't have great defense. Erin Blanchfield is primarily a grappler, jiu-jitsu, but Rose has the experience. She's fought the way better competition through her career. We know that. But I think she's another fighter that has fought her best fights already. She's won a couple recent fights, but I think Blanchfield is going to put it on her here with the wrestling for all 5 rounds. She doesn't get tired. She's only about 25 years old. I like Blanchfield here to win this fight with a Merab-style fight. In the next fight, we have Derrick Lewis and Jhonata Diniz. In this one, I'm going high confidence here for Jhonata Diniz. He's about a minus 170 favorite. Derrick Lewis is the knockout king. He's the most knockouts in UFC. He hasn't fought a really good, not really good, I shouldn't say that, but a super fast or technical striker in a while. He has the recent fight over Rodrigo Nascimento, but he's a good striker. He's not really super fast. He had Giles and Almeida as another matchup. He lost that one. And Giles and Almeida is not a good striker, nor super quick with the striking. And for Jhonata Diniz, he's green. He's only 8-0. I believe only 2 fights in the UFC. One of them was against Austin Lane. He knocked him out, but he did get wrestled in the first round. Second round, knocked out a tired Austin Lane. And then his most recent win is over Carl Williams. And it was kind of a close fight for the first round. Carl was doing good in the striking, but Jhonata Diniz really took over in that fight. His speed's such an advantage in heavyweight. He has a long career in Glory Kickboxing where he was successful. He did get knocked out twice, but in this fight, I think speed is going to be the X factor, and Derrick Lewis hasn't fought a super fast striker since, I believe, Cyril Gane, and Cyril Gane knocked him out. It was with ground and pound, but he hurt him to get him there. Derrick Lewis is another really old fighter. I don't be surprised if he throws the glove in any one of these fights that ends. It could be this weekend. It could be his next fight, but I don't believe he has a lot left. He's put so many miles on his body. He's been knocked out so many times. I don't believe this is a favorable matchup for him. He might try to get a takedown or so. If he does, he could be successful and win the fight, but he's not someone that's going to go round after round for takedowns. And Jhonata Diniz is super dangerous on the feet. I think he's going to hurt Derrick Lewis, but win a 3-round decision overall. Next fight, we have Caio Machado versus Brendson Ribero. In this fight, I'm taking the underdog. Finally here, we got Brendson Ribero plus 135, and he hasn't been super great. He's really inconsistent. He just lost a majority decision against a grappler. I don't even want to try to say his last name, but it's like Gatsi. And before that, he got knocked out really fast. He has a win on Contender Series, but he actually doesn't have a UFC win. He's a really good striker. He's super dangerous. Seems that he gets hurt in all of his fights, but in this fight, I know he's going to have the speed advantage because he's fighting a heavyweight that's coming down to light heavyweight in Caio Machado. And Caio Machado has not had a great UFC run. He's fought a ton of cans and lost. His last win was over, what was his name? Oh, yeah. His last win was over Savlarsky. That was another one of Contender Series. Neither of these guys actually have a UFC win. Contender Series doesn't count. He lost to Dontel Mays and McParkin. McParkin's pretty good, but Dontel Mays is horrible. I think in this fight, Brendson Ribero gets a knockout. Caio Machado has never been knocked out yet, but his record's 8-3. He's still new. I think it's coming down on the weight here is not going to be good for him. It's a lot of weight to drop to come from 250 pounds down to 205. He's going to have to lose a lot of muscle, and Brendson Ribero is a super explosive guy. I think that's going to be the factor in this fight. I like Brendson Ribero here actually with high confidence to get his first UFC win. And he's an exciting fighter going forward if he can get this done. Either fighter that loses this fight is definitely going home. So, hopefully it's a good scrap. In this next fight, we have Marc-Andre Barriault versus Dustin Stoltzfus. This is another fight here that's going to be super close because both of these guys are kind of the same style. None of them are super great at anything, but good at everything, I'd like to say. For Marc-Andre Barriault, he's coming off a couple losses. He got knocked out by Joe Pyfer. Before that, split decision with Chris Curtis. But if you can go the distance with Chris Curtis, you're pretty tough. Pyfer got him. He's probably going to knock out a lot of guys. For Dustin Stoltzfus, on the other hand, he did beat Joe Pyfer many years ago, but it was fluky. It was on a takedown, and Joe Pyfer's arm snapped. Since then, Dustin Stoltzfus is super inconsistent as well. He just got knocked out by Bruno Ferreira with a spinning back fist, or elbow rather. But I feel like he was winning that fight. He was putting on really good grappling and striking. This is a fight that is going to take place in Canada. I hate to say that, but in a close fight, the judges could sway to Marc-Andre Barriault here. I like Dustin Stoltzfus to get the job done, though. I think plus 150 is a great number against someone who is coming off 2 losses. I think Dustin Stoltzfus has the striking advantage here. I think the grappling is probably going to cancel out. I can't see Stoltzfus on his back, laying on the ground. If anything, I see him getting the takedowns. I definitely like Dustin Stoltzfus here with average confidence. In this next fight, we have Mike Mallot versus Trevin Giles. And I like to talk about this one a lot, actually, because I know so much about both of these fighters. And for Trevin Giles, I actually was a fan of him for a while. I thought he was a lot better than he was. He's been going up and down from 185 to 170 through his whole career. His losses are to straight savages, though. This guy, his losses are to Dricus du Plessis, Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, a couple other guys on there. I don't feel like looking at it right now to check, but Trevin Giles is another good guy. He was winning the fight against Prates. I felt like Prates was just being so patient with him, and then he really just hurt him. But for Mike Mallot, he's coming off a recent loss to Neil Magny. He gassed out in that fight and lost to a vet. It's actually a really bad loss. Neil Magny's a gatekeeper. Both of these guys did a grappling match about a year ago, and Mike Mallot won a close grappling match. These guys are really familiar with each other. It's another fight in Canada. I feel like Mike Mallot is like the biggest guy on the card for Canada in this one. And I believe he's going to win a unanimous decision here. I like Mike Mallot by decision here. It's really weird to say that because all of Trevin Giles' 6 losses come by finish, and most of Mike Mallot's wins come by finish. But these guys are familiar with each other. I do think Giles is a really good striker, and he has good boxing. Mike Mallot holds the power in this fight, but they're familiar with each other in the grappling. I think Mike Mallot is going to get takedowns and win a 3-round decision. In this next fight, we have Aieman Zahabi versus Pedro Munhoz. And in this one, I like Aieman Zahabi here. He's on a good run right now. Recent win over the undefeated Javid Basharat. That was really impressive. He was a big dog in that fight. Another win before that over Ricky Lang, Ricky Tercios. I think those are really good wins to have. He hasn't lost a fight since 2019, so obviously he's gotten a lot better over 5 years. Brother of the other Zahabi, who's a really good coach. Faris Zahabi, I think his name is. And for Pedro Munhoz, this guy's on a horrible run. He has like 2 wins out of his last 9 fights, one of them being a no contest, but he's so old and done. He's not impressive at all. He usually doesn't get finished. He does have a good win over Chris Gutierrez 3 fights ago, but like I said, even in his last 5 fights, 3 losses, 1 win, 1 no contest. In that no contest, he was getting the crap beat out of him by Sean O'Malley. I like Aieman Zahabi here a lot. I think he's going to be the slicker striker, more active, and activity should win him the fight in this. Munhoz is probably going to throw a lot of leg kicks, but he's so patient and not enough volume. In this next fight, we have Ariane da Silva versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. In this fight here, I like Jasmine Jasudavicius a lot. Lock. high confidence. She's looked so good in her past fights. She's really good overall, striking, grappling. She usually gets good takedowns and holds it there for a majority of the round. She is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. I like to see that. Only lost to Tracy Cortez, which is a title contender. And for Ariane de Silva, her most recent loss was to Karine Silva, which isn't a bad loss to have because she's a savage. But she got taken down like 5 times in that fight, and it's such a good path for Jasmine to win this one if it's not going well on the feet. I really like Jasmine Jasudavicius here a ton. Ariane de Silva did have a good win before that over Casey O'Neill, but in that last fight, getting taken down that many times, I can't rap with you. I like Jasmine there a lot. In this next fight, we have Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. In this one, I like Charles Jourdain a ton. High confidence, lot confidence. Most of his career was at 145 pounds. He's coming down to 135 for this one. And I think it's going to do him well. He looks super fit through social media. And he's such a good fighter. His losses are also to good competition. Jan Silva, Sean Woodson, split decision, could have been either way. Wins before that over Ricardo Ramos, Gracie, lost to Nathaniel Wood. Those aren't bad losses to have. I feel like all those losses would happen to Victor Henry as well. Victor Henry had like a one-off in his UFC debut against the Brazilian. What was his name? Let's see. Yeah, Hani Barcelos. He won that fight. He was a really big dog on a UFC debut, short notice, but after then, he's lost a fight. He won a split decision. I don't think should have won his way. He had a no contest that he was on his way to losing, and he has a win over Hani, which everybody beats. But this is striker versus Jourdain. I feel like Jourdain is a jiu-jitsu guy, but his striking's really good. Spinning attacks with the kicks and the hands, but his submissions are so good. I think he's going to win here by finish, actually. I think he's going to guillotine Victor Henry here, minus 130. He's used to fighting bigger guys. Got to worry about the speed a little bit coming down a weight class, but Charles Jourdain was never the biggest 145er. I think he's going to do well in this fight, and hopefully he does really well moving forward at 135. I hope he does good. In this next fight, we have Jack Shore versus Youssef Zalal. And in this one, I'm taking Jack Shore because I feel like the odds are way off. He should not be a plus 210 underdog. He has super elite grappling. And Youssef Zalal, this is his second stint in the UFC. In the second stint, he is 2-0. No one's went for a takedown on him. In his first run in the UFC, he got taken down a ton in almost every fight. And obviously got kicked out of the promotion because he was losing fights. For Jack Shore, coming off a recent loss from leg kicks to Joe Anderson Brito, he's been fighting higher competition lately and hasn't really been showing up so much. He also lost to Ricky Simone, but does have a recent win in between there to Makwan Americani, which is not impressive because I don't believe he's with the promotion anymore, and a lot of guys beat him. But before that, the grappling's been looking super good, and I think he's going to use that here against somebody who's been taken down a ton in his career. I really like this fight just to go the distance if I didn't have to pick a winner, but this is a video where I pick winners. I like Jack Shore here. The odds are really nice, and I also like the fight to go the distance. Youssef Zalal is very slippery. He's kind of hard to grapple, but like I said, Jack Shore is also a super strong guy, and that's the base to his game. In this next one, we have Alexandr Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. And in this one, I like Alexandr Romanov here to get the job done. His wrestling's really good. he got kind of thrown into the fire because he was steamrolling so many opponents when he first came in. Marcin Tiburi threw his load in the first round in that one, won a 10-8 first round, gassed, went to a majority decision loss in that one. Should have been a draw. After that, fought Volkov, got knocked out, has a win over Ivanov, then lost to Giles and Almeida, but the losses are coming to top 10 contenders. Rodrigo Nascimento is not that. He just got knocked out by Derrick Lewis. And I believe Alexandr Romanov here has such a big wrestling advantage. He throws around everyone he gets into the ring with. And Rodrigo Nascimento did get taken down in a lot of his most recent fights, even against Latifi. And Latifi's so small. Romanov's so big. I like Alexandr Romanov here a ton to get the job done. And this next fight, we have Siri City versus Garrett Armfield. In this one, I like Garrett Armfield here to get the job done. I think he's a better overall fighter. Siri City's really impressive in the striking and the kickboxing, but he can be grappled, and he's going to be the way taller opponent here. Garrett Armfield is actually a really good grappler. It's about the best to his game, slight underdog. Coming off a recent loss to Brady Heastan, but Brady Heastan's a really good fighter. Before that, he had a really good win over Brad Katona, which is aging very well, considering what Brad Katona's been doing lately. Even though Katona just lost a recent one, it was a really close fight. Garrett Armfield here is better overall, and that's why I believe he will win this fight. Not going to talk about it too much because I want to get through this. In this next one, though, I really like Cody Gibson versus Chad Anheliger. And Cody Gibson is a super dog. This guy's got cardio, very underrated, really good wrestling. He just submitted Brian Kelleher in his last fight in the first round. Before that, lost to Miles Johns and Brad Katona. But those aren't really bad losses to have. They're ranked. Oh, not Katona. He just lost. But Miles Johns is a ranked fighter. It's not a bad loss to have. And he did look good in it for a little bit. Miles Johns just held the striking advantage. And for Chad Anheliger, he's not super impressive. He is the Canadian in this fight. But there's like a 7-inch reach advantage for Cody Gibson in this fight. And Chad Anheliger is not impressive. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Losses to Jose Johnson, not good. Wins over, I couldn't even tell you. Grigori, not impressive. Grigori hasn't won a fight in the UFC. Chad Anheliger is decent in striking, but I think Cody Gibson is going to win this fight through grit and wrestling, grappling. I doubt it's going to be a great striking fight. And the current jerker of the night, the first fight of the night, the women's fight, we got Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. And I hate that I even have to pick this one. Jamie Lynn Horth coming off a split decision loss to Veronica Hardy. It was actually a really good fight. And Veronica Hardy is on a resurgence here. She's been doing really good. In her past few, Jamie Lynn Horth was better at striking in that fight versus Veronica Hardy. I remember. But she was getting taken down in clutch moments of the round when they were coming close. I remember Hardy was getting takedowns within like a minute to go before the rounds were over. And for Ivana Petrovic, I'm not super familiar with her. She has a UFC win over the Chinese fighter Liang Na. Liang Na was 0-4 in the UFC, so I can't take that with anything. Before that, she lost to Luana Carolina, which isn't a bad loss. Luana's really good. It was a decision. But in this one, I'm going to have to take Jamie Linhorth. I feel like she looked better as of watching the last two. I remember the fight for Jamie Linhorth against Veronica Hardy, and she did put up a really good fight. And for Ivana Petrovic, I am starting to remember her now that I'm starting to talk about her. The fight against the Chinese lady, she should have finished her in the first or second round. They go to the third round, and I don't like that. This is a really good card, though. I'm excited to watch it, and hopefully now a lot of really good picks again. Drop a comment if you want to talk about any fights, agree, disagree, even just talk about future matchups. Share with a friend, anything like that is super appreciated. Even just watching the video, I appreciate y'all. I mean, we're doing this together. We want to win money together, hopefully. Or if you just want to listen to predictions to see who wins the fight, that's what it's about. I love the sport. And I can't wait to keep doing more videos on it. We do have another pay-per-view coming up with John Jones. It's going to be the next one in November, as long as it stays together. But one fight card at a time here. Good luck, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.